No. No guns. Doing this fairly. Roll the montage. Sure, this topic has been done by almost everybody, but you all demanded it, and here it is. My top 10 most hated video game characters. For this countdown, I'm going to apply the standard rules. I must have played at least one game with the character in it, and I'm only including one character per franchise. I'm going to try to keep this list as original as possible, and keep in mind that this is only my opinion and feel free to disagree. Also, be warned that this list will contain a couple of spoilers, but I will warn you when any are about to come up. Alright, take it away, Mr. Grinch.
Hate, 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 double hate.
Loathe entirely.
I love the Harry Potter franchise. From the books, to the movies, to the puppet shows, to the fan-made musicals, to the surprisingly high-quality games. There's just so much magic and color and Filch from the Sorcerer's Stone CD scared me to death as a kid. He only shows up in one level, but that one level is one of the most stressful and nerve-wracking levels I've ever faced. The premise of the level is that Harry is using the invisibility cloak to smuggle Norbert up the tower to Ron's brother. Yeah, it kinda makes more sense if you read the book. But then, Filch happens, and you have to avoid being spotted by him. These rooms are filled with bookcases, giving them a maze-like layout. You have to use magic to open doors and unblock passages, and Filch will come bolting whenever he hears magic go off. And if he touches you, you have to start all the way back from the beginning. Okay, I just have to open this door. Please don't come, please don't come, please don't come, please don't touch me, please don't touch me. Ah! I hate you! However, he's lower on the list because even though he was the bane of my existence as a kid, he's really not that much today. Haha! You're nothing to me now, Filch! Come and get me!
God, I'll miss the screaming.
Loathe entirely.
To find the number 9 entry, we have to delve into a little-known franchise known as the Tax series. Never heard of it? Well, that's partially my fault for having never talked about it until now, but these games are some of the most creative and hilarious 3D platformers I've ever played, with one glaring exception. However, I'm not here to talk about the games. I'm here to talk about luck. If you want to find an egotist, look no further. Locke constantly boasts about how mighty of a warrior he is, but when it gets down to it, he's actually a weakling, a coward, and dumber than a rock. And that voice of his.
Ah! Ah! Mommy, mommy! Didn't say that, didn't say mommy. I meant to say it's kind of dark in here, and the lock is kind of a light kind of guy, not a dark kind of guy, but I'm not worried about it.
It's like I'm trying to remind everyone how narcissistic I am.
Look, nothing against Patrick Warburton, but that voice just doubles my intolerance of Locke. Even the other characters in the game can't stand it.
I need helpful ideas, Locke, about waking Tack up.
Right.
So, in short, Locke is a hypocritical, egotistical, arrogant mess of a character. However, what keeps him low on this list is that every now and again he actually is kind of funny, and he actually does something helpful for once in the Great Juju Challenge. Still, Locke remains one of the worst examples of a comic relief character in modern media.
Loathe entirely.
Ashley from Resident Evil 4 is one of the most useless NPCs you will ever encounter. She doesn't know when to shut up, her AI is garbage, she never does anything to help Leon, and if she dies, you lose! Yay! This ultimately builds up to quite a lot of hate. But wait, there's also Sheva from 5. Her AI constantly gets in your way, and she never carries her own weight. But there's also all those random partners from 6 that just pop up out of nowhere and won't take no for an answer. And the same thing happens in 2. Plus there's all those guys from, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna lump them all into one spot. Granted, I haven't played every Resident Evil game that there is, but from the ones I have played, your partners are completely hateable. The only one that I actually like is Carlos from Resident Evil 3, as he actually helps Jill Valentine whenever he can. Every single other partner in the series annoys me to death, whether for their personality, voice, AI, or all of the above.
Loathe entirely.
There's a certain category of people out there. What is it again? Oh yes.
People you wish would just shut up.
There are many types of these people in video games, such as However, the worst of these has to be Baby Mario from Yoshi's Island. You see, rather than just put in a simple life bar, the developers of this game wanted to create a more unique health system. So, every time Yoshi gets hit in this game, Baby Mario will fall off his back and start screaming his lungs out. The only way to stop the screaming is to touch him and get him back onto your back. And if you don't catch him before the timer runs out, you die. Due to the surprisingly high difficulty of this game at times, you'll be hearing that scream so much that you'll want to pull your hair out. Oh, but that's not all. Baby Mario's aggravating antics don't just stop at Yoshi's Island. He's also a royal pain in the Mario Kart and Mario Sports series. Because think about it. You're getting owned at sports and driving by babies. Not to mention the chain chomp from Double Dash.
Loathe entirely.
Pokemon? Yes. Blue? Nop. There is another character from this franchise that I personally find much more hateable. Silver. To sum this guy up, Silver is an immature, hypocritical bully. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy hangs out with Billy Loomer. He will taunt you, make petty insults, call you names for Pete's sake, and physically push you around. Also, he has a massive superiority complex, and wants nothing more than to prove that he's better than everyone else. For example, rather than just ask for a starter Pokemon from Professor Elm, he stole one, just to prove that he could do it and was therefore better than you. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what's known as a prick! Another thing I really hate about this guy is that he has a huge grudge against Team Rocket, yet he still resorts to their tactics to get what he wants.
You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Your whole life is just a hypocrite. Like it's just
My
a
whole
bundle.
life is a hypocrite.
Not well. Hey. Whole
That's
life.
not even a correct sentence.
You're right. It's not.
Loathe entirely.
Usually people hate a character for a very specific reason. However, this next character is a very strange case, as I hate it for a distinctly different reason in every game it appears in. At number 5, we come to Mother Brain. Sure, Mother Brain is a decent villain and all, but I have to include her on the list. In the original Metroid, I hate Mother Brain because it was a pathetically lame final battle. You just stand there and spam your missiles for about a minute. Sure, you have the Donuts of Death to deal with, but you have enough health that you don't even have to avoid them to still win. In Super Metroid, it's the polar opposite. Mother Brain just never dies. You can shoot missile after missile at Mother Brain's face, and it doesn't even register pain. Not to mention the
Lasers of Rainbow Death.
which are quite possibly the cheapest attack I have ever seen. You cannot avoid them. I get that this battle is scripted, but this attack still ticks me off just the same. In Metroid Other M, you never actually fight Mother Brain, but the game still managed to grow my hate for it as they never shut up about it. Plus, every time you defeat Mother Brain in any game, it will activate a time bomb and you have to escape the area before the time runs out. Anyone who's seen my worst cliches video knows just how much I hate this trend. It does nothing but add stress and frustration. Thank God for Ridley, because if Mother Brain was Metroid's recurring villain, it might just ruin a fantastic franchise for me.
Loathe entirely.
I'll admit, I haven't actually beaten this game yet, but I've seen and heard enough to know that Hazama deserves to be on this list. Can you say sadist? Well, that's pretty much Hazama in a nutshell. Hazama wants nothing more from life than to cause chaos wherever he goes and make sure none of it leads back to him. For example, he cuts off the arm of the main character, then somehow manages to convince him that his brother did it. And on top of that, he's ridiculously powerful. In cutscenes, Hazama is an unstoppable force of nature, and in gameplay, he's arguably the most overpowered character in the series. All of this and more has given him the reputation of one of the biggest trolls in video games, and you all know how likable those are. Now, I haven't beaten Continuum Shift yet, and I'm not going to look up the ending and spoil it for myself. So I don't know what becomes of Hazama, but I'll just say this. He better die. He better die in a fiery explosion of pain!
Loathe entirely.
Remember this guy? Yeah, he's not on the list. Hey, I'm trying to keep this list original. Besides, there is actually a character from No More Heroes that I hate more. Shinobu. Yes, I'm aware that Shinobu is a very popular character, but that isn't going to change what I think anytime soon. In the first No More Heroes, Shinobu was the 8th ranked assassin in the UAA, and had arguably the worst battle in the first game. It was dark, it was cluttered, it was cheap, and she would consistently spout underwhelming one-liners. At the end of it though, Travis lets her live. Big mistake, because she gets even worse in desperate struggle. This time, Sylvia calls in Shinobu to help Travis, and regrettably for us, that means we have to play as her. Basically, playing as Shinobu is intolerable. She controls much more stiffly than Travis, and will constantly stop in the middle of an attack to taunt her opponent. I know you've heard this all before, but Shinobu's own taunting is your worst enemy when fighting Million Gunman and New Destroy Man. How did this gain a cult following? Excuse me for a second. Hello?
Das war ein Befehl!
In English, please?
Der Angriff Steigers war ein Befehl! Jeder hat mich belogen, sogar die SS!
Look, ma'am, I'm sorry if you like Shinobu, but this is just my opinion after all.
Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen!
Well, different strokes for different folks.
Sie ist ohne Ehre! Sie nennt sich Generale, weil sie...
I'm sorry. Your session is over. Please make another with the receptionist on the way out. So anyway, the biggest thing that I hate about this character is that as the youngest assassin in the UAA, at least in the first game, Shinobu was intended to represent the younger audience. Gee, that makes me feel so great that my generation is being represented by a stubborn, cocky, and overly emotional mess of a character.
Loathe entirely.
Okay. As for this next one, every single one of my viewers should have seen this one coming. Yes, anybody who's a fan of my videos knew that Dedede would show up at some time on this list, though some of you may be surprised that he isn't number 1. Regardless, Dedede is easily the greediest character I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. His actions throughout the Kirby franchise can be boiled down to stupid, selfish, mischievous, petty, practical jokes. For example, take Kirby 64. We see that Dedede steals one of the crystal shards. Does he want to sell it? Put it on his mantle? Put it in a skirt and make it dance the hula? No! He just steals it so Kirby can't have it. And when he's not hanging around just being a jerk to Kirby, he's getting himself possessed by dark matter and causing even more trouble for his kingdom. Sure, he's helped Kirby a couple of times, but this just makes him worse, as he is supposed to be a villain. And before you all attack me again for saying that Dedede is a villain, it says so right there. The only game I like Dedede in is Brawl. In every other game, he is self-centered, gluttonous, disloyal, and gives a bad name to penguins everywhere! Penguins of the world, unite with me now and feed this abomination to the skua! One rage quit later. Fine. Frightening, egotistical, unreliable, annoying, cruel, cheap, sadistic, arrogant, selfish. These are just some of the words that I have brought up so far in this list, but for number 1, there are no words. No amount of speech can truly express the hatred that I have for this character. He is fighting his own war and has no rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at torture, human trafficking, or genocide. He's not loyal to a flag or country or any set of ideals. He trades blood for money. He is Vladimir Makarov! Oh my god. How this guy has managed to stay off everyone else's list, I will never know. Makarov is, simply put, the most despicable human being ever drawn on paper. Throughout the Call of Duty Modern Warfare trilogy, Makarov commits so many evil and unforgivable acts that it's downright sick. First thing, you remember that nuke from the first game? You know, that thing that killed countless soldiers, including Sergeant Paul Jackson, emotionally scarred General Shepard and caused him to go off the deep end, and basically brought the world to the brink of nuclear destruction? Well, guess what? Makarov was the one who set it off. Granted, he was following a higher power at that point, but still, he fired off a freaking nuclear weapon! That alone justifies his spot on this list, but there's still plenty more to sift through. In an effort to find out what Makarov is up to, American soldier Joseph Allen joins his party undercover. When Makarov snuffs Allen out, rather than just, kill him, he takes his team to an airport, shoots hundreds upon hundreds of unarmed Russian civilians, and manages to pin the whole thing on the American government, essentially creating World War III. But that's still not all. In Modern Warfare 3, Makarov became the #1 target of Delta Force, and as they tried to hunt him down, Makarov started mass-producing nuclear weapons, attempted to assassinate the Russian president, kidnapped the Russian president's daughter, and killed Soap McTavish, one of the most beloved protagonists in the hardcore community. Finally, when the war is over and Makarov has nowhere left to turn, Price and Yuri finally get to take down the man who caused all this suffering. And yet, despite getting to personally kill Makarov, it's not satisfying at all. He dies by a rope. Really? That sucks! I want him to suffer! After everything he did, killing your friends, unleashing full-scale war, manipulating innocent civilians, and detonating a nuclear weapon, he can't even die right. It's people like this who make the world as messed up as it is today. It's people like this who plague the innocent with their sick motives and vile ideals. It's people like this that really get my blood boiling. But nobody likes me when I'm angry. There is one positive thing I can say about Makarov, though. If they ever continue the Modern Warfare trilogy, at least he won't be there. Okay, guys, it's fine. Video's over. No longer gonna rage. I'm calmed down. I'm fine. You can come on time me now. Guys? Hello? Oh, that's great. You turned the lights off. Brilliant. Could you at least leave me some ammo? A little water? Some chips if you have them? No? Alright. Well, time to put all those memories of Houdini to the test. It's getting hard to breathe in this thing.